I just got paid $4,000 from an AI agency client, and here's everything that happens afterwards. Now, this is the part that nobody really talks about, right? Everyone talks about getting clients and how to actually fulfill for them, but nobody talks about what the hell do you actually do right when you get paid? What do you send? What do you say? What do you do? Like all of these questions. And trust me, like I get this from experience because like in the beginning, I had no idea what to say. I had no idea what to do. And I started to panic as soon as I would close deals. So in this video, I want to just simply show you everything that happens as soon as a client pays me. I'm going to give you everything that you need. So one, you can show up to these calls, close confidently, and collect cash without questioning what you're doing next because you'll know exactly what to do after you collect payment. And two, if you already have a successful agency with clients being onboarded frequently, then I will basically show you my post-sale process so you can implement it and increase the LTV of all your clients. Now, for a second here, imagine that you just paid a couple of $1,000s. You just paid like $4,000 to grow your business with AI. Now, those first 24 to 48 hours, imagine that you didn't hear anything from them, right? You didn't know what was going on. You just spent $4,000 and you're not hearing back from them. You're not seeing any results. Nothing's coming through. Like you don't know what's going on. And this is how most agencies operate. Those first 24 to 48 hours after you get paid are everything. Okay, that is the most important time. That is when the strongest sense of buyer's remorse will set in. That is when doubt will begin to grow in the back of their heads if they're not like successfully contacted and expectations are properly set. Like if you don't nail the processes that I'm going to show you in today's video, you will get a ton of refund requests. And I know because I've gotten them in the beginning before I had this stuff built out. And the truth is that like it doesn't matter whether you're offering ads and AI like my agency, or you're offering AI web design or AI automations or even like AI agents or anything. Like it doesn't matter what you offer. The most important thing is that in order to have successful clients, and more importantly, happy clients, you need a really good post-sale process similar to the one that I'm going to show you in today's video. So let's go through it. I'm going to walk you through everything from start to finish that I do as soon as I get paid by a new customer, and let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, I want to explain what happens if you don't do what I'm about to show you in this video. So I'm going to walk you through like everything you need to know to retain customers and everything that happens post-sale as soon as they pay you. But first things first, I want to explain to you the importance of retaining customers and LTV. So when you have a client, right, and let's say that client pays you around $2,000. And again, this is regardless of like what you sell. You could be selling, AI agents. You could be selling, ads and AI like mine, or just any kind of service, right? The point is typically they are more high ticket, right? Or at least that you want them to be. And these are high ticket clients. So as soon as they pay you, right, that is how much they paid you to get started, for depending on like how long your term is, whether your term is like 3 months or 6 months, or you have like a $2,000 a month retainer, or however your pricing model works. The point is, let's say that you have 10 clients, okay? Both, the same pricing model for all 10 clients. So you have 10 clients that are paying you all $2,000. And just for the sake of the example, let's say $2,000 a month, right? Now, if your average retention is 2 to 3 months, and that's how long clients stay with you, which is completely typical for a lot of agencies, then from that, all you are going to get is around 40K, which sounds great until you hear the upside. So 40K. Now, if your average client retention is 6 to 8 months, from that same amount of work, same amount of clients, same cost, you will get 120. Okay, and I just want to really drill this home because like this is 3 times the amount of output for the exact same input if you implement what I'm going to show you in today's video. Okay, and I know it sounds crazy. It's like, okay, well, my clients are going to stay with me about like just completely based on the results I give them. And unfortunately, you're wrong. And I will explain why. So yes, keeping clients is all about having good results, right? They are most of the time going to stay with you because you provide them the result that you promised. But around 50% of that, so 50% I would say is the results. And then 50% of it as well, the other 50% is about the client success. Okay, and I mean not just like their success. I mean the relationship between you two, how you treat them, and more importantly, just like these systems I'm going to show you in this video. So like this is the power of this stuff. A lot of people don't even like take this into consideration. They're just like worried about service delivery, worried about fulfillment. It's like, yes, that's all important, and getting good results for your clients is very important. I won't lie. Like that's very important. But if you just add this stuff in here and you can keep your clients for double or triple the amount of time, you will make a double or triple the amount of money regardless of what you do and what you sell. So that's the power of this. So let's jump in. So first things first, there's kind of an 8-step process here to keep clients for the longest amount of time possible. Now, I learned this from a book called Never Lose a Customer Again, and I have lots of mentors and successful business owners that I look up to that have recommended it to me. It's a very, very good book, and it also is the inspiration for the process that I have for my agency. So first things first, assess. Now, this is kind of the phase where the prospect is deciding whether or not they want to do business with you. So this is basically, during the sales call on the original closing call. And 2 is when they buy, right? So they believe that you can help them solve their problem, essentially. And it's very important that in the beginning we celebrate this new relationship. Okay, I see so many people collect payment on the call and say, and try to act cool and keep composure and just be like, okay, sounds good, thank you. All right, well, we'll be in touch. It's like, that's not enough. You could be excited about your partnership, excited about the fact that you just signed a client and be like, welcome to our team. We're so excited to help you. We're going to kind of jump into things. And there's a couple of housekeeping things that we need to kind of get done. Obviously, I'm not going to run away or anything. I want to make sure that you're treated right here. And obviously, you always have me to contact and stuff. But it's very important in the beginning that you kind of affirm their buyer's remorse. Because in the beginning, when these guys, naturally in their head, there's going to be, buyer's remorse. Like it's a little tree, right? And that tree is going to grow up and grow up and grow up and get bigger the less you contact them, the less you talk to them. I don't know how to draw a tree, but whatever. But the point is like if you want to, minimize the possibility that they leave you as soon as they can, then you need to affirm the fact that they just, paid for your services. So to do this, you need to reaffirm their reasons for buying. Now, I want to mention also something that's very important here. Every single touch point that you have with a client. So like right now, let's say this box is the sales call. So this is like the first touch point that you had with the client and, they closed and they paid you money and stuff. The second box is, maybe the onboarding call or even the post-sale process. So even like what we're going for right now, like basically what happens exactly like right after they pay. So maybe the post-sale process. And then the third is like the third, like maybe the onboarding call. The fourth is maybe, the launch call or whatever call is after that. The point is that every time that you have a touch point with a client, you have to constantly be selling to them. This is what people, fail to like realize. Like once they're a paying customer, just because they're on a $2,000 a month retainer does not mean they're going to pay you $2,000 every month forever. Like most of the time for most agencies, depending on what service you offer, like they might only pay you for maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 months. Okay. And if you want any chance at having clients be worth like $30,000 plus like I have, you have to install this system. Or at least build a post-sale and client success system based on these 8 aspects. So you have to constantly be selling to them because you have to understand that there's always going to be doubt and always going to be buyer's remorse that they experience. Number 4 is activate. So you want to have a really good first impression. So during the major, post-sale interaction, so like when the product arrives, which I guess would be considered like the onboarding call, and if you're providing some kind of digital service online through an agency, you want to have a really, really good first impression. Okay, you want to have your stuff dialed, have your processes like extremely outlined and successful. Because what I see a lot of people do is like they'll close a client, you know what I mean? And then after they close the client, they will delay the onboarding call. They won't really talk to the client. Like they literally, in the eyes of the client, like you just paid this much money for a service and they're not even responding to you. They're not texting often. They're not like updating you as to what's going on. They're not even like feeling that they're getting, the service provided for them. And that's where people go wrong here. Like if you do that, you will have clients that won't even be worth 2 to 3 months. You'll have clients worth 1 month or 2 months, right? And that's the thing. That's what people don't understand. It's like, yes, client acquisition is important. Yes, fulfillment is important in service delivery. But like actual client success frameworks and systems like I'm showing you in this video today are what ultimately will make your clients worth a lot more LTV later on. So that's number 4. Number 5 is acclimate. So when the client is learning how things work, handhold them. Literally handhold them. Constantly contact them. Constantly text them. Make sure they understand that they have you, as a support. Number 6, accomplish. So set clear objectives and metrics and celebrate with them when they achieve goals. Adopt and advocate. So the first kind of couple, of these we can actually hit in the post-sale process. So as soon as they pay, we can hit those. The first things first that I recommend doing, regardless of, what you offer, is having a post-payment form. So basically someone's going to pay you and they're going to, close on a call and it's going to be all exciting and great. First things first, go ahead and send out this form. This is a form that I recommend. So your name, their working hours, their address, their city name, their state, their website address if they have one, their email, have they booked an onboarding call, image sharing so they can share images with you, basically so you can use them for advertising. Once again, my agency does ads plus AI, so I like to have a little bit more resources. I usually make them myself, but it's good to have extra ones for inspiration. So there's that, where areas they want to advertise in, and this is kind of like an onboarding form. So first things first, if we kind of map this out from start to finish, 1, they will pay you. Okay, great. 2, on that call, you're going to send over that onboarding form. Okay, so I guess we can just call this form, just like that. And then 3, if we're following the principles of this 8-step process, after that, we want to basically go ahead and book in an onboarding call with them. So another thing as well is like I have it kind of set up with an automation in GoHighLevel is that like once they fill out this form, it'll basically auto send an agreement. So an agreement is very important as well. Like this is just will show your services are more professional and ultimately like this will protect you as well. So I recommend creating an agreement here. I have a template for you in this video. So in the description of this video, you can always just like open this document up and check out this template. So this is just a contract template and you change everything that's in red. So it has the compensation as well as the guarantee. If you want to offer a guarantee, it's not required. And honestly, I actually recommend not having a guarantee. It just protects everyone around it protects you, and ultimately like it usually doesn't really help close rate that much, as well as the bottom here and then the scope of your services. So depending on what you offer them, it's very important to have some kind of, service agreement like this. So you want to basically send over that agreement as soon as that form's filled out, just like so. And once again, like some people want to look over the scopes of the agreement before they pay, but that's up to you. You can kind of work with that in the way you need to. Like for some clients, I've walked them through the agreement because they wanted to see before they paid beforehand. But at the end of the day, like they're not paying because it's an agreement. They're paying to get the services that you're providing. So that's the most important thing. So number 1, pay. Number 2, give them the form, have them fill it out. Number 3, send them the agreement. And after that, number 4, that is when we want to book in an onboarding call. So what I recommend you do is book in an onboarding call in the next coming days. So like literally like 2 to 3 days from that initial sales call, because I won't lie, like where I think a lot of people go wrong in this whole process is like 1, they'll get someone to pay them and they'll sign a client, but then they won't actually onboard them until like weeks after. So like there'll be like a week, like weeks of time that go before they actually like have that onboarding call and go through and figure out like how to actually set things up, which you should already know how to do if you're a professional service, right? So depending on what you're offering, obviously the onboarding call is going to look different, but basically this is what I would do. 1, I would set an onboarding call as soon as they sign. Okay. And then 2, I would go through and have days 1 through 7 messaging. Okay. Those first touch points and first impressions are so important. That first client experience in the first 7 days is way more important than immediate results. People think that clients churn because they don't get immediate results and results really fast, which definitely is a factor to that. But more importantly, it's because they don't have enough, a solid enough messaging framework. I got this from like agencies doing multi 6 figures a month, and it's super, super, super important. Think about this. Like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? This is a similar, kind of methodology to how our business operates. Like if we hire someone or basically, pay for services and don't hear from them in the first 7 days, did they even do any of the work? Like on the back end, you might be slaving away. Like you might be grinding, but the client doesn't know that. You know what I mean? So it's very important that in those first 7 days and even first 14 days, I would say, to have a set messaging framework that you send your clients. This doesn't matter. I don't care if you offer AI websites or AI like whatever it is, ads and AI like what I do. Like it doesn't matter. The point is you need to have frequent messaging as soon as they pay. Okay, they're going to pay every single day. I recommend sending 1 update per day for at least the first 7 days. Give them the time to launch depending on what service you're providing, and making sure you can actually fulfill on the deliverable that you're offering, and get them results soon as well. Set expectations low and over deliver. The key to keeping clients is like expectation setting. That's the biggest thing. Like that's the point of having these calls beforehand. So it's like if you look at this framework, right, that I explained right here, where you have the pay, the form, the agreement, you book the onboarding call. Then after the onboarding call, usually what I like to do is a launch call because I run ads for these guys. So that's a launch call. But the point of having all these calls, is to slowly dial back expectations. If we can constantly lower expectations, then they won't be as, they'll be more like willing to work with you if you're not getting great results out of the gate, which with running ads, that's how it is sometimes, right? Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks for ads to ramp up, to actually find out what's working in their area. That's usually the biggest time waste. And so sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. So it's like, it's really important to dial back expectations and be like, look, yes, you are going to get this result, but in the first month, it's going to be very slow, or maybe you get a couple leads. And if we don't get any, that's completely normal, right? It's literally all about expectation setting. That's why clients leave you. And also, work with better clients if you want them to stay longer, like ones that are more expensive. The more you charge, the less headaches you deal with, believe it or not. But this is kind of the overall, messaging framework. So on the same day they sign up, text their cell phone, hey, it's Name here. Just want to say I'm so excited to start working with you and your company. Okay, like this is what separates, an agency that's doing like a couple thousand a month to ones that doing, almost 6 figures a month or like multi 5 figures a month. Like this is the difference. Okay. Check to see if they booked an onboarding call, same day as onboarding call. Hey, I spent a couple of hours watching, building out your CRM. Things are on track. They should be set. I got filled, I got the details that you gave us in the onboarding form. I filed all of it, like updates and like market research, campaign structure setup, morning. Like you see, like having these daily messages is so crucial. Okay, like this is where most people go wrong. And if you can take anything from this video, any part of value, is that regardless of what service you provide, have a structured post-sale process where they know where you know exactly what happens. Do this and repeat it for every single client you get. And then have a very structured messaging sequence to have as soon as they pay towards, to the onboarding call or launch call or next touch point that you have with them. So if we look for the touch points, like in total, basically we have the sales call, which is the first one. So we have the sales call. And the second touch point is the onboarding call, right? And that looks a little bit scuffed right there. Doesn't matter. 3, the launch call. Okay. And then the fourth touch point is typically bi-weekly check-ins. So bi-weekly, meets where you basically check in, bi-weekly meetings, to check in on results, see what, needs to be improved and what doesn't. So like, for example, at the end, at the bottom of this resource right here, that's in the description, you can see the bi-weekly check-in call framework and script that I use for all my clients to make sure that they're on track and actually, getting the results I need them to get. So like this is kind of like this, the overall structure of Touchpoint, but throughout all of this, in between this stuff, in this space right here, this is where the magic happens. This is what decides whether or not they stay with you. Right here, right here, right here. Like in between that time, all of that time, that's a lot of time for them just to sit there and think about whether or not the decision they made and whether it's worth it or not. So in this time, it's very important that you have that messaging framework. Okay, like that is everything. Messaging, do it. You need to do it. It doesn't matter what service you provide. You need to constantly make sure that they, stay in touch with what you're doing and that you keep them in the loop. If you don't, they'll churn or ask for a refund or something. So that is what happens after a client pays me $4,000. In summary, basically, post-payment contract. From there, booked an onboarding call, messaging frameworks throughout that time, launch call. And if you want to know exactly what actually happens on the onboarding call and launch call, if you want to offer a similar thing as to what I offer in my agency, there's also a free 10-hour course in the description of this video, so you can check that out. And that'll explain everything on the onboarding process as well as client fulfillment, even getting clients as well. But this is everything that you need to know about, after a client pays that original $4K. So hope you learned something. Hope you found this valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.